I'm super late with this, aren't I? So we're already way past New Year's. Yeah, this took me way too long. Okay, today we're going to be talking about my favorite books of 2016. So 2016 wasn't maybe the greatest year ever for reading for me, but I did read some great books and today we're going to be talking about them. The first I'm going to mention is The Garden of Evening Mists by Tan Thuong, and I feel like I'm still thinking about this book after a few months. It was a very, very intelligent and thought-provoking read. It's a historical fiction novel and it has this kind of literal fiction vibes too because it's written beautifully. And it's set in 1950s Malaysia, where this woman who was in a Japanese war camp during World War II wants to build a Japanese garden in the memory of her sister. And that's all I'm going to be saying about this. I did a review for this, so if you want to know more of my thoughts on this, I'll link it down below. But yeah, this was an excellent read, and if you're looking for a good historical fiction novel to read in 2017, this is something you should definitely pick up. And continuing with great historical fiction novels, I read The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna this year, and it was an excellent read, and this book definitely gets the prize of the book that made me cry most this year. After finishing The Nightingale, I was just bawling, like you wouldn't have wanted to see me crying, because I had my pillow on my face because I was reading at night and I didn't want to and I didn't want other people to hear me cry that much because I was crying very loud. So this book is a really emotional book. This story is about two sisters living in France during World War II, and it's a historical fiction novel that really explores the lives of women during wartime, and it's a very heartfelt and heartbreaking story. Hannah's writing is very easy to read and it flows very nicely. I love books that make me emotionally invested, and if a book makes me cry, it gets like those brilliant bonus points, and this book definitely made me cry the most this year, so it deserves to be on my favorites list. So if you've been watching some of my earlier videos, you might have learned that I really like Brandon Sanderson, and I read a few of his books last year. Most of them were excellent, but my favorite was definitely Elantris, and this was actually his first published novel. So this was published in 2005 before the Mistborn series, which I read first by him, and I would recommend starting with the Mistborn series and not this one, actually. Most people don't think this is his best book. I don't think it's his best book either. You can definitely see that this is his first published work, but I just loved it. I don't know what it is about Sanderson that I just love. I just love his work, and I just fell head over heels with this story. So in this story, it takes place in this land where the capital city is ruled by this almost demigod creatures who use magic. But when this magic fails, Elantris fails too, and the city is left to rot. And this story follows three points of views. Two of them I absolutely loved, but one of them wasn't maybe my favorite. That's why I probably wouldn't give this a full 5 stars, even though it's like 1,000 stars in my heart. And that's why you can see that it's probably not his best work, but it's one of my favorites now. I absolutely loved it, and when you're more into Sanderson's work, I still highly recommend checking Elantris out because it's very much worth reading. So I couldn't choose my favorite graphic novel series of the year, but the first I'm going to mention is Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind by Hayao Miyazaki. And this isn't the first volume, but I started this series at the end of the year, and I absolutely fell in love with it. You might recognize Miyazaki's name because he's one of the founders of Studio Ghibli in Japan, and he has both written and drawn this manga series and made it into an anime movie. I've actually seen the movie years back when I was younger, but I remember practically nothing about it, so I went into this with a fresh mind, and I fell in love with Nausicaa. She is this warrior princess type who's very determined and kind and loves nature and animals, and it's just my type of princess story. So this story is set, this is actually a dystopian story, so it's set in this far future where humanity has kind of destroyed itself and the planet. So the planet is now filled with these bugs and creatures and inhabitable forests, but some places are still habitable, and then these peoples go to war with each other, and Nausicaa gets thrown into this because her father is sick, and now she has to defend her own valley. I can't wait to finish this series and watch the movie again. I highly recommend this if you're new to manga or just want a good graphic novel fantasy series, because I'm in love with Nausicaa. The other graphic novel series I'm going to mention is Lock and Key by Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez. This is a kind of horror fantasy comic series. It's best not to know much going into it, other than that it's horror and gore and fantasy mixed together in a most brilliant way. The story is highly addictive. You really want to know what's going to happen next. The art is beautiful, it flows with the story perfectly, and the art actually kind of gets better as the story progresses. The whole series is just 6 volumes long, and it's absolutely fantastic. My favorites list wouldn't be complete without this book, because it just left a huge impact on me, and that's A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. And this is a contemporary literary fiction, kind of mixed with magical realism, and I don't even know what to say about it. It follows 2 perspectives. One is Ruth's perspective, where Ruth Ozeki actually fictionalized herself and put herself in the book, so that's really interesting. And the other perspective is from Nao's perspective. She's a schoolgirl in Japan that's really bullied, and she's really depressed, and she's actually planning for her suicide, but before she wants to kill herself, she wants to write about her grandmother, who's a Buddhist nun. So after the tsunami that hit Japan, Ruth actually finds Nao's diary, and then strange things begin to happen, and the story kind of progresses from there. This novel wasn't perfect because I didn't enjoy Ruth's perspective as much as Nao's, but if this book was just about Nao's perspective, I would love it even more, because even though it feels like a very complete novel with the 2 perspectives, Nao's perspective is just something I just can't forget, and the storytelling in that book is just, there's just something that makes me relish this story. It's definitely one of my favorite reads of the year. The list wouldn't be complete without it. This year I read a very controversial story, All the Ugly and Wonderful Things by Bryn Greenwood. Is something, it's really hard to describe why I love this book so much. I think it's best not to know too much going into it, other than that the controversial topic in this book is actually a relationship between a young girl and an adult man. Their relationship is shocking and powerful. It really makes you think. Greenwood's writing is manipulative, so the book has multiple perspectives, so you can think about the whole situation through different people. And I think the book is equal parts ugly and wonderful, and I love books that make me really think and question things, and yeah, anyway, Greenwood's writing is beautiful, and it's one of the most memorable reads I've ever had. Yeah, it was wonderful. Just wonderful. I just really love this book. Really. But last but not least, if I had to choose a favorite for the year, it would probably be Leigh Bardugo's Crooked Kingdom. I don't even know what to say, what others haven't already said about this book. If you aren't familiar with Leigh Bardugo, she has written this YA trilogy in her Grishaverse. and I've read that before this, but nothing compares to Crooked Kingdom. And Crooked Kingdom is the second part of the duology she wrote, and the first is Six of Crows, and then comes Crooked Kingdom. I really liked Six of Crows last year, but it didn't nearly have the impact on me that Crooked Kingdom had. The characters in this duology are so wonderful and diverse, and the story has this great vibe of anti-heroism. I don't need, words are failing me. Bardugo's writing is beautiful, the character interactions are beautiful, the characters are beautiful, the story is beautiful, the plot is amazing. My heart was pumping, I cried, I laughed, I just loved it. I don't even know what to say about it other than that I loved it, and this duology is one of my favorites of all time now. Best of the best of YA. I really feel like this duology has a lot to offer for most people, so yeah, Crooked Kingdom, best of the best. Yes. So those were the books that I chose to be my favorites of the year. I hope to read many more favorites during 2017. Please tell me some of your favorites below, because I just love these lists, because it kind of sums up like this huge recommendation list from different people. So hope you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful new year, and I'll hope to see you soon. Bye!